Okay, so with Classic WoW's upcoming release, which we have no idea when it's going to come out, there are a few things you can do to kind of prepare for it. And I'll be honest here, this isn't things that I recommend necessarily, but things that if you want to get a little more hyped or you just want to kind of start remembering some things and refreshing some things, this is what I would recommend. And obviously, if you want to go into it without spoiling anything, and if you're fresh to Classic WoW, then don't do probably any of these things and just, black out all media for as long as you can. But first up, the first thing that I'd recommend is looking at online databases for vanilla World of Warcraft. Now, there's a few of these databases, and all the links for everything I talk about in this video are going to be in the description of the video, but a few of these that you can see on screen right now. My favorite one is db.vanillagaming.com, or .org, excuse me, and it really is probably... Personally, I think it's the most functional of all of the databases. I don't remember exactly which patches these are for. I think these are for the end of Vanilla WoW, so like patch like 1.12.1. So keep in mind that the stats and everything for the items and such are not always consistent between all the databases and may not represent what we see in Classic WoW depending on which patch Blizzard uses. But you can use this database as well as the Vanilla Twin Head Twin Star website. And those are both good websites for just general database uses. You can, start looking at quests that you remember, look up items you used to remember, look up item sets, and it's a lot of fun to kind of look through those, in my opinion. There's also a nice talent calculator on there, which again, I believe is set for the 1.12.1 patch. But that talent calculator is also a way you can kind of relive or remember your old specs that you had in Vanilla WoW. And if you've never played Vanilla WoW, you can maybe look at those talent calculators. And if you're fresh to WoW, if you only started playing WoW sometime in the last maybe 5 years, you might be a little surprised at just how just how the talents look. I mean, you're really going to be speccing into things. You get like 1% increased chance to crit. Not the most exciting talents, but it's fun to look through the talent calculator also and maybe plan out some of your builds for PvE or PvP. So I recommend these two websites for the databases and the talent calculator, and they're in the video description. So the second thing I would recommend is to look into add-ons for Vanilla WoW. Now, if you go to like Curse Gaming, there are a lot of add-ons for WoW, but these are all for Modern WoW, right? Because that's the only client that's really available. So that's all they'd ever built towards. They just kept modernizing everything. You might find some old add-ons on there, but generally it's for Legion and, Worlds of Draenor and Legion, and eventually Battle for Azeroth. However, if you Google vanilla add-ons for WoW, you'll find just tons of websites. And to be honest, I recommend you be very cautious using any repository for vanilla add-ons, because there have been reports of people using them, putting like viruses on them or like keyloggers, especially and things like that. So anything you download, I would recommend you do at least a virus check on it. But I would highly recommend you only go from like a reputable source and not just go to the first link you find on Google, or maybe the first link is good. Don't go to like the 20th link on Google. But however, my biggest recommendation is to just go to the Nostalrius forums. You can see them on screen, and I'm kind of scrolling through them, and have the link also in my video description. The Nostalrius forums have a really nice area for essential add-ons, and it's like there's several things like useful vanilla WoW, 1.12.1 macros is kind of nice. They have like this big what they call like a repository for all sorts of add-ons. They have a smaller topic that just covers some like highlighted add-ons that they recommend. But the one that I really recommend is if you go to the repository page and you scroll down, you'll see I'm doing this on screen. There is like a giant Google Drive, there's actually 2 Google Drives that are huge. And they have almost every vanilla add-on you can ever imagine, like in incredible amounts. It's by blah blah. If you look on screens, blah blah is the user. I've gotten all of my vanilla add-ons from these 2 Google Drive links, and I've never had any problems. And as far as I know, I've never had any viruses, keyloggers, anything to my knowledge, and I've been using these for years. This is what I recommend. So you can go on there. You can't obviously run if you don't have Classic WoW, right? But when Classic WoW comes out, you can have all your add-ons downloaded, ready to go. Hopefully, Blizzard doesn't change the game in any meaningful way that these add-ons are broken, and then you can just pop these add-ons in, you'll be ready to go. Obviously you have to customize them, but this is definitely what I recommend. Start scrolling through. You can even pick up Solitaire if you want. So when you're queued up for Battlegrounds, you're waiting to get in, you can play some Solitaire. If you're waiting for the stupid healers to get some mana so they can buff you because you're the rogue and you got nothing to do, you can play some Solitaire. So there's some really fun add-ons in there, and I recommend you really go through that list and just start, getting the ones you want. Get them now. I don't know if this database will stay around forever. Probably not. hopefully it stays around at least through Classic WoW's launch. That'd be really great. So that is my second recommendation for preparing for Classic WoW. Alright, so this one will actually cost you a little bit of money. If you want to go this route, this is the third recommendation. And it's honestly, it's not so much that it's useful, it's just a lot of fun. I really recommend you pick up one or all of the player's guides that came out for Vanilla WoW. I've got them on screen. You can see you can get them on Amazon, and they are like less than $3 or $4 each used from Amazon. So you can get all 4 of them. There's like 4, at least that I know of, there's 4 of them. There's a dungeon guide, there's the general player's guide, there's a bestiary, and then there's an atlas. They're all really nice books. Some of them are hardback, some are paperback. And you can get the whole collection for like $10 used on Amazon. I'm sure you can get them on eBay or elsewhere, Craigslist maybe, who knows. I have one of them. So I have one that I've kept around that it's the dungeon guide, like a dungeon companion. It's not that useful, honestly, but it is a lot of fun. Like, it's just kind of cool just like to flip through it and like remind yourself and refresh yourself about all the old things in Vanilla WoW. I'll probably be picking up some of these other ones soon, just for fun. Like, and honestly, if you just sit down and you read like 3 pages a day, you might finish by the time Classic WoW launches. There's like 1,500 pages almost total between these 4 books. So, I mean, you have a lot of reading if you just want to go through the entire thing, honestly. But it's really cool. So I recommend this as a way just to get kind of hyped up. Like, just kind of remind yourself of some things, look at some of the maps for the dungeons, like talk about the strategies of like specs and how to raid, how to take on the 5-man dungeons, how to level up. You probably know these things already. But if you're new to a Classic WoW, I think this is a fun way to kind of introduce yourself to it. So my 4th recommendation is to look at old Classic WoW videos. And one of the best websites for this, in my opinion, is warcraftmovies.com. If you go there and you go to a little more tab, you can go down to timeline, and you can actually scroll the timeline over and look at videos released based on the time they were released. You can go all the way back to like 2005. And there's not a lot of videos, but there are some 2005, 2006, and 2007. So you can go through there, and there's a lot of fun videos to watch. So I highly recommend warcraftmovies.com. There's also a few YouTube channels. There's like WoW Movies, and they're all named similarly, so it's a little bit of a pain. There's WoW Movies, and then there is, let me find the next one, Vanilla WoW Movies, and then the last one is, let's see, WoW Classic Movies. So they're all named very similar, but they all have a fair amount of videos. Most of these videos are from before the Burning Crusade. Some of them aren't, but a lot of them are. Between those 3 YouTube channels and the WoW Movies website, there's honestly so many videos you could watch to catch up on Vanilla WoW if you really want to. That's the way I recommend it. I honestly, that's one of the best ways to relive Classic WoW before it gets here, is to watch the videos. And some of these videos are terrible. They're almost all potato quality, but it gives you the sense of what was going on. Obviously, if you follow my channel, you're going to see some Classic WoW stuff also, but it really, for like a lot of the old Classic, there's like, the Leroy Jenkins video, right? It's a classic video. Probably everyone even new to WoW knows, like new in the sense they played, after, let's say, the Wrath of Lich King launched. Even those players probably have seen a Leroy video. It's a classic video. So, you can find all those types of videos on these websites and on the YouTube channels, and I really recommend them. So that is basically it. These are the 4 recommendations I have right now for how to kind of prepare for Classic WoW. And some of these things are actually useful. Like the player's guides, they actually have some useful things in them. That's the databases, the talent calculators, those are somewhat useful. Some of them are just for fun, though. Like, really, the Atlas isn't that useful, but it's kind of fun to look at it. And, the Warcraft movies, not that useful, but a lot of fun. And now keep in mind, anything you do with all these 4 suggestions, you're probably spoiling Classic WoW for yourself a little bit. If you've never played it before, I would really recommend you don't do these things and just go into it as blindly as you possibly can. I've played so much Classic WoW that a lot of these things I already know. I'm always learning new things, but a lot of things I know. So it's not really spoiling for me. It's more just like reminding myself. But basically that's it for today. These are my suggestions. Let me know if you have suggestions in the comments. I'd be appreciative because, as I said, I'm always learning about Classic WoW, so the more I can learn, the better. But that's all for today, so thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.